indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Supervisor Locke with the invocation.
We seek your help with our affairs today. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us to make the best use of our own. We are of diverse opinion here, yet we wish to mend our differences and reach agreement satisfactory to all. Please share a little of your wisdom with us to help us do right by all concerned. Thank you for your blessing today. Amen.
Amen.
Supervisor Robel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for the adoption of this evening's agenda.
Been moved and seconded. Now is the time for the public. Is there anybody that would like to speak on anything on the agenda this evening? Now is your chance to talk. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Now is your chance to talk. You'd have to come up to the mic and state your name and address. Yes.
So I can't bring forward an issue that I was talking to Mr. Mueller about?
No, not unless it has to be on a written agenda.
Oh, it does. Okay. All right.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Okay, that portion of the meeting will be closed. Communications and petitions from the clerk.
You have a note from Executive Harris and his wife to the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors and staff. Thank you for the lovely plant. It will be a reminder of the wonderful memories of our father, Mark and Sue Harris. 2 petitions for zoning amendments. The first one comes from Randy DeDecker in the town of Neenah, requesting a zoning change from I-1 light industrial to B3 business for a veterinary clinic. It's referred to the Planning and Zoning Committee. A petition for zoning amendment from Gary and Nicole Meyer in the town of Neenah, requesting a zoning change from R1 to R2 for yard space. You have a notice of claim from Attorney John F. McNally for Linda Pitts for injuries Ms. Pitts sustained in an accident with a county vehicle, referred to the Personnel and Finance Committee. And then you have one resolution from Eau Claire County opposing actions by the Wisconsin State Legislature which abrogate or significantly modify or decrease local authority and control by counties, towns, and municipalities in matters related to the health, safety, and well-being of residents. And that is referred to the Legislative Committee. That's all.
Okay. Reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to offer congratulations to our supervisor, Ron Hardy, to my right, for his fall listing on the Wisconsin state ballot for state treasurer on the Green Party. Look for him on the ballot. And I would be remiss if I didn't offer congratulations to our county executive, Mr. Harris, for his candidacy for the House of Representatives for the 6th Congressional District as a Democrat. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past week, the Park Committee took their annual tour. We took a tour through trails and boat landings, and we ended up going to a winery. And the winery, the reason we went there, that Rob and Vicky, they're currently looking to a sponsorship option with the Vine and Rushes for the Muscutian Recreation Trail improvement and maintenance along the local Greenway group. The trail passes directly behind the vineyard, and they're interested in making improvements to the trail. So that's a way that we're trying to improve it and also get funding to maintain it. We did end up in a area that could be the possibility of a dog park on the northern end of the county. We had so roughly 50 acres. Doesn't look too shabby. Some citizens were out there. We talked a little bit. In fact, sometime in the future, they'll be coming in to talk to us about it. Also, our own Vicki Redlin was recognized for her volunteer services for publication updates through the WPRK Weekly. I guess what it's telling me is Winnebago County employees, after they're done working, a lot of them, they actually go out and still maintain and help in whatever area that they're in. Like say, you know, Vicky's parks, and she was recognized for her work for it, and I'm greatly appreciative that she belongs to Winnebago County Parks. So, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Skellinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As most of you are aware, on June 6th, Judge Barbara Krebs struck down a constitutional ban on same-sex marriage in Wisconsin. This precipitated a range of emotions: joy, celebration, confusion, disappointment, and many more. Our clerk was put in a position that clerks across the state should not be put in, because the ruling did not provide clear directive that they sought to proceed confidently. This had been brought to my attention by some folks that I was talking with in my neighborhood over the weekend, and so I went down to the clerk's office, and I saw the empathy that the staff exemplified for couples looking to have the government recognize their love. I saw them patiently explain their decisions and answer questions on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as these couples waited in the clerk's office for their marriage licenses. I want to thank the clerk's staff for their patience and hospitality and their service during that difficult time. I had more than a couple of conversations about what was going on and how we would be implementing the decision, which led me to investigate, ask a few questions, and I appreciate the clerk helping me out, understanding what was going on so I could communicate that back effectively. On Tuesday night, a constituent had made me aware. Last Tuesday night, a constituent made me aware of a change in the policy that would delay the issuance of marriage licenses. So I had gone down to the clerk's office on Wednesday to find out what was going on, so I could go back and provide an answer that they were looking for. Kind of as some things were in limbo, I decided to wait in the clerk's office, along with a young couple waiting to get married. We struck up a conversation and quickly realized just how much we had in common. We were nearly neighbors. We'd take our dogs to Picnic Point almost on a daily basis. And I began to remember myself sitting on that old wooden bench about 10 months ago with my wife. We were so excited to start our lives together. This couple was so ready to pledge themselves to each other that they were giving up hours at their jobs. So we sat there, and I remember thinking about how unfair it must be for my new friends. My friends in Outagamie County or Fond du Lac County had marriage equality, but we didn't. My new friends, however, remained optimistic, and that was a really cool thing for me to see. They were optimistic, telling me about the plans that they had for their future, telling me about the vacation that they planned to take, which was to be their honeymoon, and and what they were going to do right after getting married. And it was a really eye-opening experience for me. As the day's events unfolded, more couples came waiting to get married. A congregation showed up with flowers for the couples, and a joyous moment occurred when marriage became equal and fair in Winnebago County. There were tears, hugs, sighs that carried 30 years of fatigue with them, and many, many smiles. The couples filed into the clerk's office to apply for their license, and I went along with my new friends into the same room that my wife and I sat in 10 months ago. A bubbly excitement came over both of them. And just as my hand shook as I was signing that commitment and that pledge, so did theirs. We moved from this room outside to the slightly raining warmth. And underneath the arch on the southeast side of the courthouse, where the inscription, "Equality for all people," is written in stone, marriages happened in Winnebago County. I want to congratulate everyone who helped make that inscription, "Equality for all people," a reality in Winnebago County last week, and thank those in advance who will continue to make Winnebago County equal and fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of proceedings from May 6th and May 20th board meetings. It's been moved. Second? Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. The approval of the 6th and May 20th. Are there any additions or corrections for either one? Supervisor Faria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse my voice, but I've kind of lost it, most of it. I would recommend or request that on page 25, the motion by myself and seconded by Mr. Finch to deny appointment, that should say that it carried. It does not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Correction will be made. County Executive's report. Pardon? Can we just make it as a correction, or you want to vote on the correction, or?
As a correction at the will of the body.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. County Executive's report.
As is my custom, I'm pointing out a couple resolutions I think are of particular importance. One is with regard to the Tri-County Ice Arena. This is probably the ice arena's last chance to have continuous operation. The hockey teams that play there have already had to make their schedules, and they've made them with the presumption that the arena would continue to operate. And this arrangement does allow for the arena to continue to operate. I do want to correct or add to one comment. A question was asked at the joint committee meeting that was discussing this between facilities, parks, and P&F. There was a question asked about them repairing the parking lot, and it is the intention of the new party to change the parking lot and to repair it, but their repair may be to pulverize the surface and turn it to more of a gravel lot. They may not be repaving the whole surface, but they are intending to fix it from its current condition. I didn't want the board to not understand that. The other item I'm going to call your attention to is Resolution 49-62014, which is the parking lot for the Sheriff's Department. And I heard some really compelling reason why they need a larger parking lot. And as we've adopted more and more alternatives to sentencing, some of those require traffic to and from the Sheriff's office. And because of that, there's a lot more citizen traffic in that parking lot. So at shift change between the additional traffic from the I'll call it outpatient or alternatives to sentencing programs, together with new employees trying to report in before their shift starts, before others have left for shift change, that there's a definite need for additional parking spaces. And of course, those alternatives to sentencing programs all save us money by allowing us to delay any sort of expansion of the jail facility, which would have otherwise had to have been expanded by now. And that's all I have for my report.
Supervisor Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on that. When you said it's going to be pulverized now, the driveway, that was never brought forward on that, and I sat on one of them committees, and now all of a sudden, when was that change made?
I think that's something that they discussed in their interview. I wasn't part of the interviews, but someone asked if they were going to fix the parking lot, and the answer was given yes. And I wasn't, I was just an observer at that meeting, but I had been told that yes, they would be fixing it, but that fix may involve pulverizing it rather than repaving it. So I thought you should know that, because I don't want the board to be disappointed when that's what they do.
Because I didn't sit in on 3 or 4 that sat in on that meeting, but I sat in on the other, and I was the one that asked the question if they were going to fix that parking lot, and nobody ever said a word that it was going to be pulverized.
That's why
and now there's being a change all of a sudden. We were told we couldn't change that. Thank you.
Supervisor Warnke.
Who's going to pay for this parking lot?
The county's making no financial commitments with regard to the ice arena, so the new party leasing the facility is proposing that they make the repairs.
So they're going to pay for everything without coming back to the county?
Well, we will continue to provide the insurance as owners of the property, and we continue to be owners of the property until a 15-year period is up. We also will be providing snow removal, and it's hard to tell if there's an incremental cost to us when we already have equipment and people working to do that work.
Well, there's a lot of costs involved in snow removal.
There could be some, but we already have the vehicles, we already have the drivers. The question is, what's the incremental cost, and we don't know.
Well, I know the incremental cost, and it's around $200 an hour. And I called the National Weather Service and got a report on the snowstorms, and there's anywhere from 10 to 15 snowstorms a year, so you're talking to upwards of probably $30,000 to $80,000 over a 15-year period.
Although there's different ways to look at that cost. I'll point out that the time that they need those parking lots cleared may be different than the time that we need the roads cleared. For instance, oftentimes the peak period of service for us to clear county roads is prior to the morning commute on an overnight snow. With the ice arena, the time that would be critical is getting the snow cleared before school gets out, because that's when the use of the arena during the school year is heaviest. So again, when you already have the people, when you already have the equipment, it's hard to tell what the incremental cost of that would be.
Do we have the right to amend this lease, or does the board not have that right?
We don't have the right to amend it.
You won't?
No.
So it's either going to be up or down?
They can't amend the lease, can they, once it's brought forward?
Yeah, let me try to answer that. It's probably within the legal rights of the board to ask for an amendment to the lease, but we wouldn't know tonight that the other party would agree to those changes. And there is a risk that it would scuttle the entire deal. And we're already at the 11th hour on this. I mean, there would be some risk that the next season would not start on a timely basis if the other party rejected whatever amendments you made. So while you may be within your legal rights to do so, it may destroy the whole thing and cause, high school teams to miss a hockey season or figure skaters to miss a season, or maybe not even to be able to find adequate ice, because there is a shortage of ice times available. So while you might be legally able to propose an amendment, we would not know if the other party was going to agree to that, and there's a risk that you would run out of time or maybe scuttle the whole deal. So I would strongly advocate just voting it up or down.
I won't pursue it, but I don't think that's I was always under the impression that a lease, once it was brought to the board, couldn't be amended on the board floor. But that's...
Well, it's actually what you'd have to do is refer it back to committee with a suggestion that the proposal that it be, with the proposal that it be amended. You can't unilaterally amend it. The other party has to consent to it. I think most of you understand that. So,
Supervisor Stellinger.
I just wanted to touch base on the parking lot at the jail. We're only adding like 20 parking spots. Are we anticipating having more non-staff traffic? If this alternative sentencing is the way we're going, is this enough? And given the high ratio of planning costs in this, is there a bigger picture?
For years, the Sheriff's Department found the parking lot adequate without these additional spaces, which actually were in the original plans. But as those alternative sentencing programs have grown, it's now a little too tight, so that sometimes people are coming into work and don't have a place to park their car. And of course, in a jail, you're not going to let one shift go home before the next shift has taken their place. But they feel with these additional spots, that it should meet their needs for the foreseeable future.
Can you just speak a little bit to, I know the question came up at the presentation about why the planning costs were something like 34% of the total project, and when we didn't need to purchase any land, and we already had the I think the stormwater issue taken care of. Any more on that?
I think that's just an estimate of the planning costs. I would hope they would come in under that, but when they come to the board to get approval, you can proceed if you're coming in under the amount, but if you need more money than what you've asked for, it stops the whole project. So I suspect they've used high estimates of those costs, bringing it before the board, but I'll be honest, I don't know what all is needed, but you do have to have professional design on a parking lot that accommodates drainage and meets all the code requirements and so forth. So some cost is justified. That does sound a little high to me.
Thank you.
Supervisor Robel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, I believe you said that they were thinking about grinding up the parking, that asphalt, and leaving it?
Yes, at the Tri-County, their immediate solution to the condition of the parking lot may be to grind it up rather than to tear it out and redo the parking lot. If you remember, we estimated it could cost as much as $500,000.
That's right, yeah. But if you do that and you add some gravel and you create dust, I believe there's an ordinance, I know there is in the city of Oshkosh, that you cannot, when you got a parking lot that's dusty, you've got to put some preventive maintenance to it and something to settle the dust.
That's probably the case.
And another thing is, for plowing, who is going to plow that? According to this contract, it says the county is.
That's correct.
Part of the county.
The highway department indicated that they had the capacity to do it.
Oh, that's what they said?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Will they be reimbursed for that?
No, but they will receive an adjustment to their budget to accommodate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Supervisor Hay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the recent federal court decision by Judge Crabb and the loosening of the licensing at the county clerk's office, is there a way necessarily to have a statement, some type of a statement from either your office or through the clerk's office, through your office to the 36 elected representatives?
Well,
just to kind of help identify what happened, what the administration or the clerk's office plans to do. Just provide some clarification so if we get calls, we kind of know what's going on and how to perhaps answer those questions a little bit better.
I can share my thoughts with you that there was some uncertainty as to exactly what that ruling provided. Now it's clear that there's a stay on that pending an appeal so that the licenses can't be issued. But I'm not going to speak for the clerk. She has to speak for herself. But I will tell you, to me, this looks very much like in the 50s when some states allowed interracial marriage and some states prohibited interracial marriage, and they thought they had a religious basis for doing so. I think at this point it's inevitable that all the states will eventually allow same-sex marriage, and I guess that it'll be just like the interracial marriage, that as time pass, we'll all wonder why there was ever an objection to doing so. That's my personal view.
But that notwithstanding, sir, the question is just basically, can we help put the word out to the county board supervisors about what's going to be happening at the clerk's office, and then, what the clarification is and what that means?
Sure.
I'm fine with your, with your understanding of what society, might do, but at the same time, it's my statements are not neither for or against it. It's just a matter of, can you help us work through that scenario?
Well, the clerk's office is trying to follow the law, And the law currently is that there's an automatic stay in place that prevents the issuing of same-sex marriage licenses. We'll have to wait to see if that appeal goes through and what the outcome of that appeal is. And it quite likely will go to a higher court before this is over. But eventually there'll be a court decision, and that will control what the clerk's office does. And I don't know if the clerk wants to clarify that or just let it stand on that statement.
Isn't she under litigation now by the, Mr. Bogner, can you?
Actually, Mr. Nick, to answer your question, the WCA put out a short explanatory statement, I believe it was today, and gave it to all county clerks. And if Sue wishes to, I haven't talked to Sue about it, but if she wishes to send that out, that would probably answer your question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I don't know where you're at. I didn't hear what you said. No, I was saying you go ahead.
Okay, I'm done with my presentation unless there's additional questions.
Supervisor Stellinger.
I wanted to ask about the Tri-County Ice Arena. Try to look through to find out who controls some of the other monetizable assets, like advertisements on the dasher boards or banners on the walls, things like that. Can you shed some light as to where that is in the lease, or who has control of that?
I believe that's in a supporting schedule, that it's itemized which items belong to Tri-County, and the new owner is free, and Tri-County is free to negotiate over sale or transfer of those items. But I believe they were in a supporting schedule when I looked at the document.
So like the dashers are become property of the county. Is that correct? Or let me go a different way. Let's say that the new operator decides to put something new in place. Do they have maybe it's a great scoreboard? Do they have the ability to sell advertisement on that scoreboard on that new piece of equipment unilaterally?
Yes, they would, and I believe they also have the right to rename the whole facility. And certainly I would, if they could get a significant sponsor to help support the facility and take naming rights, I would think that would be wonderful, because what I really want is for this new party to succeed and to keep the thing operating for at least the 15 years. And then if they successfully operate it for 15 years, the county will be out of it entirely. But it will continue to have served the need that's up there for ice time. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Gabbard had asked to be excused, and I'll now be doing the presentation of the county scholarships to Jasmine Belknap, Nathan Condon, Donna McHilsheen, John Levine, Joshua Miller, Abigail Peck, Zachary Polior, Michael Somanik, and Caitlin Sawal. I would like them to come forward, please, to receive their scholarships. Okay, the first award goes to Jasmine Belknap from Menasha High School. Here's your first of 2 scholarship awards. That's $500, and next semester you'll receive another one. Would you like to please tell the board what you're going to be going to school for and what you're going to be studying? That's all part of it.
Okay, hello. I'm Jasmine Belknap, and I will be attending UW La Crosse. And I'll be studying in the biomedical science area and hopes to become a pharmacist later in my life.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. Here's a history book on our great county. So, good luck to you.
Thank you.
The next one is Nathan Condon from Oshkosh West High School. Congratulations. Thanks. And would you tell the board what you're going to be going to school for, studying?
Hi, my name is Nathan Condon. I'm going to attend UW Green Bay, and I'm leaning toward majoring in either history or political science.
Thank you. And the next one is Donovan Hilsheim from Menasha High School. I guess it was a maybe if he could make it or not, so I guess he couldn't make it. So we'll see that he gets his check in a book. The next one is John Levine from St. Mary's Central High School. Congratulations. And would you please tell the board on what you're going to be studying?
I'm going to University of Wisconsin-Madison to study molecular biology. Thank you very much.
The next one is Joshua Miller from Neenah High School. Congratulations. And would you and there's your first payment, $500. Would you tell the board what you're going to be studying?
I'll be attending the Ohio State University next year. Sorry. And I'll be receiving a business administration degree with specializations in accounting and international business.
The next one is Abigail Peck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And there's your first of two payments of $500. Would you tell the board on what you're going to be studying and doing?
I'm Abigail Peck. I will be going to the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York. Thanks for not booing that. And I will be studying epidemiology.
I believe your father used to be a board member here. Was that your father? Uncle. Oh, an uncle? Okay. The next one is Zachary Polior from Oshkosh West High School. He couldn't make it either. We'll see that he gets his money. The next one is Caitlin Sewall. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And would you tell the board where you're going to be going to school?
I'm going to Concordia, University of Wisconsin, and I will be studying accounting.
Thank you. And then the next one is Michael Samanik. His was a maybe too. He had another obligation, so we'll be seeing that he gets it. And congratulations. We're glad that you entered your scholarship program, and good luck to you all. Thank you. Okay, now we'll be doing the awards for recognition of their years of service from former county board members. Well, there was only one that was able to make it tonight, and that was former Supervisor Patrick Brennan from District 32. So would you please come up and accept your reward? It says, in recognition of your years of service on Winnebago County Board of Supervisors, Patrick Brennan, Winnebago County Board Supervisor, District Number 32, 1994 to 2414. Congratulations for all your years of service. And then we had an award for the same thing in recognition of his years of service to the Winnebago County Board of Supervisor. Chuck Tews, 2012 to 2014. He said he couldn't make it. And then we have another one in the recognition of your years of service to the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors. James Engelbert, District Number 3, 2010 to 2014. We will see that they get these awards. At this time, I'd like to ask Morgan Hinckley from Parkview Health Center Director to come forward, and she'll be giving us a presentation on the Parkview Health Center nurse call system replacement.
Good evening. I don't have much in terms of a presentation. It's kind of a must-do situation. What happened is in October of 2011, we were alerted that our nurse call system, which is a method for our residents at Parkview to summons staff that they need assistance. In 2011, we were alerted that our current system was bought out by a new manufacturer, and as such, they obsoleted the system that we have. So they're no longer supporting it. The last 2 years, 2+ years, actually going on 3, we've been operating with spare parts that we had on hand at Parkview, and also others that we've been able to obtain from the vendor, whatever they had left, and in some instances, other third parties. This system is something that's required by both the state and federal statutes, and we will be using, or we're proposing that we use Parkview reserves to fund this project. So there would be nothing going to bond. I'm open to any questions if anyone has any.
This will be coming to the board at the next meeting?
This will be presented again at the next meeting, yes.
Supervisor Skellinger.
What's the length of time that you expect a system to last?
I really can't put a number to it because just as we see in technology in so many different ways, it's really up to the manufacturer as to how long they're going to support something. We had no inclination that this system, when Parkview was built, would be obsoleted so shortly after. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the manufacturers.
How much of the issue right now is support versus availability of replacement parts?
It's mostly availability of replacement parts. Our facilities and property management maintenance crew does service it when able. We do have other contracting agencies that we work with that will come and service it as well if in-house can't do it. But it's really a reliability of parts right now.
So I did a little look, on the internet, and it seems like there's quite a few vendors that have quite a big supply of parts. That when I talked to you said that they would be perfectly capable of replacing an entire system. Is the expectation that market dries up a lot quicker than what they're representing, or I guess I'm struggling to see match my experiences with the lack of availability for you.
Just so I understand your point correctly, you're saying that you researched and found that entire systems would be replaced?
That the component parts are available to replace a whole system. That one vendor was able to provide the call system, and they were able to connect me with an IT system that would blend the two. So I'm just I'm wondering if most of the parts physical parts that we have work, and if they're supposed to work, I guess that's kind of my other question is how long are they, if they were serviced perpetually, how long should this equipment go before it's replaced?
We currently have an operating system as we need to. We do have some spare parts on hand, and if I can ask Mike maybe to speak to the availability of parts that we've experienced with our specific system, I think maybe that would help answer your question.
I guess the question I've got, were you talking to vendors about Duquesne nurse call system parts?
Yeah, I was speaking with a website, PLC Center, and they were able to provide a significant inventory of the components, and then they have someone that they work with on IT.
Well, what we deal with is we're dealing with the company that actually installed the system for us, who has basically told us that the parts are drying up. Now, the parts that you may be talking about may be refurbished or used parts.
Okay. How long is a system supposed to last, though? I mean, if it was supported, and how long should it last?
As long as we've got parts. So it's just like a car. How long will your car last? As long as you take good care of it. I've got cars that have had over 200,000 miles on them. But once you start running into a problem where the parts start becoming more costly, and we're actually having to go out, and some of the third parties that Morgan mentioned about, we have to go out on eBay and look for parts.
Okay. I noticed in the packet that there was some there were some models, I think of the sets that the nurse staff might use that was that seemed like it was radio worked on radio waves. I think when we did our tour, we talked about there being some dead zones. Was that just because that was what's on the sales sheet?
What's in your packet is an example of components to a system, not specifically the ones that we currently use, nor not necessarily the ones that we would be going out to purchase.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Supervisor Oshkosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This system that we're actually looking at, I mean, this is very important because this is kind of the emergency hub of these residents. They need to be assurance that when they call that button, that there'll be help coming. I mean, this is their lifeline. I mean, we need to assure that their safety is the number one, thing right now. Morgan, this $262,000 though, this is money that's going to come out of the Parkview fund balance, right? This isn't
Correct.
The levy taxpayers. This is coming out of the fund balance, right?
All of it out of the fund balance.
That's what I thought.
Parkview's fund balance.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Mike, is there anything you want to add to it? Or?
I just wanted a little bit of clarification. When we do look for the parts, there's a wide variety of parts for a system that we have to replace. Just in the last year, we had one of the brain consoles go out, and I believe the price has doubled since we first put in the system. It went from, I think, $1,800 a console. I think the last one we bought was $3,600. And it took us 2 or more months to get here. And that's with the vendor who installed the system for us scouring for a replacement console. So they may be available, but that left us having to use the one spare that we had, that if one of the other 8 would go down, then we would have none, and then that household would be at risk. So what we need is a system that has readily available parts that are easily gotten, and we can get overnight if we have to.
Okay. Thank you. That's no more questions. Zoning reports and ordinances. Report number 1, Corey Kelkoffen, McMahon and Associates, Town of Neenah. Supervisor Legan.
Move for the adoption of report number 1.
So moved and seconded to accept report number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move for the adoption of mandatory ordinance number 1.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the mandatory ordinance number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 34-6/2014. Commendation for Joan Whiteman, Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 346-2014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 35-6-2014. Commendation for Laura Wojcik. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution number 35-6-2014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 36-6-2014. Commendation for Gary Henke. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution number 36-6-2014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 37-6-2014. Commendation for Lori Grable. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution number 37-6-2014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 38-6-2014. Commendation for Susan Burkholz. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution 38-6-2014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 39-6-2014. Disallow claim of Liberty Mutual on behalf of Eric Pitts. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution 39-6-2014.
Been moved and seconded to disallow the claim. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Disallow resolution 40-6-2014. Disallow claim of Meredith Starling. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Move for resolution 40-6-2014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 41-6-2014. Authorize execution of Tri-County Ice Arena lease agreement between Winnebago County and Appleton Ice, Inc. Supervisor Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the adoption of resolution number 4162-014.
Second. Been moved and seconded. We'll vote by our little iPad. Supervisor Olson.
Thank you. I wasn't involved, obviously, in the execution of this lease. I did go over it. I just wanted to ask anybody who was there what the criteria was to offer this lease or accept this lease offer from Appleton Ice, as opposed to some of the other interested parties. Appleton Ice, first of all, it's called Appleton Ice, and second of all, it seems to me that they have a lot of teams that are located outside of Winnebago County, and not very many teams are in Winnebago County. So what was the criteria? I'm assuming that that wasn't a criteria. Where you were located or how many teams you had in the county using the facility was not a criteria. Can somebody comment on that for me?
Supervisor Rowe, could you help answer that?
I'd be happy to try to answer it. I was in on the interviews. There were actually 3 parties that submitted proposals. One was eliminated. We interviewed the other 2. There was an exhibit in the RFP that went out which was a point system and determined how many points for, I think, 10 or 11 different criteria. During the meeting that we had, and I should mention that the meeting was with Chuck Ornstein, Pat Brennan, who was just here and I think left, and Mike Elder and myself, not knowing what each other had done, it was unanimous, and rather surprising to me, to tell you the truth, it was unanimous that we all agreed that Appleton Ice fared much better in the criteria we were looking for. I will tell you that my first comment when I saw the RFP was that if Warren Buffett wanted to run the Tri-County Ice Arena, he wouldn't be able to because he didn't have the experience. It was highly weighted toward someone who had experience. Obviously, Appleton Ice, who runs the rink in Appleton, far and away outshone the other applicant, and therefore we chose Appleton Ice. That was one of the reasons, if not the major reason, that we chose Appleton Ice.
So they already operate a rink in Appleton?
Correct.
And now they want this one too because of the overflow and everything, or?
Correct. They're currently buying ice time from Tri-County.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're very welcome.
Supervisor Eisen.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to compliment Vice Chair Rowe for his diligence and his persistence in bringing this Tri-County ice lease to the forefront. This has been a bone of contention for 7 years. It was 7 years ago that we first took a county tour of the ice rink and observed that situation when we were partners with Outagamie County. I did a little checking myself to corroborate the work of our committees, the Park Committee, the Facilities Committee, and the Finance Committee. I reviewed Appleton Ice Inc.'s most recent Form 990, Federal Form 990, which is entitled Return of Organization Exempt from Income Tax. It's like your income tax return. It's available for the public to inspect. And what impressed me from the document for the 2011-2012 year, the organization exceeded their expenses for the last 2 years. The organization has net assets, unrestricted net assets exceeding $800,000. The organization, for at least the last 2 years that I observed, that they paid off $100,000 a year toward their mortgage on the facility that they own in Appleton Memorial Park. In fact, I even went out there and looked around. From what I could tell, Appleton Ice owns the building, and the equipment there is all before depreciation valued at about $2.7 million. After depreciation, it's about $1.7 million, and then they have $800,000 of equity. They had gross receipts of $508,000 in 2011-12 and had $46,000 in retained earnings. Tri-County Rec Association, with the same document, had gross receipts of $452,000 with a $3,867 loss. Appleton Ice, for their facility in Appleton, employed 16 people, had 50 volunteers, paid under $100,000 in salaries, which was about 20% of their gross receipts. Our current lessee, with $452,000 in gross receipts, with 31 employees, no volunteers, and $203,000 in salaries. For expenses, that's referred to as occupancy under the document, $192,000 went toward that expense for Appleton Ice in their facility, $106,000 for Tri-County Ice Rec Association, of which $84,000 went to management and general expenses. That's probably a reflection why the place is so run down. Unfortunately, we dropped the ball on that facility as partners with Outagamie County, and it's because of that. We had that lessee for 35 years, and they just milked it. I support this, and I would ask everyone else to support it as well.
Thank you. Supervisor Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To reflect on a previous question from a supervisor, that's an accurate statement that much of the usership probably will continue to be from Outagamie County. And I say continue to be simply because it has been. It simply has been for the last several years, at least through the support of the youth hockey organization, which was the only user group that provided me with some sort of numbers. I can only assume that the other user groups were very similar, but again, it was weighted towards usership from Outagamie County. And another comment to a previous question from another supervisor would be in regards to the parking lot. I would certainly consider whatever they do to the parking lot would be fixing it, even if at this point in time is pulverizing it and grading it. That would certainly be fixing it as far as this supervisor is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Warnke.
I got some questions on this lease. Page 1, under number 2, under A, B, and C. If the replacement item is part of the refrigerated system for either of the large or small ice rinks, title it should be held by the county. Okay, who is going to pay for this?
Chuck?
The lessee.
I'm sorry?
The lessee, the party that's running it. The county will not be paying for it.
The county will not be paying for any equipment replacement?
Correct.
What about the parking lot?
We will not be paying for that either,
Not
other
at
than
all.
the plowing.
And do you have the right, does the county board have the right to bring a resolution in to get funds for this rink, or is it a
Certainly.
responsibility of the leasing?
Certainly, if the board wants at some point to put money into it, there's nothing stopping that.
Okay, I expressed my concern about plowing the snow before, and I still think it's wrong, but I guess there's nothing I can do about it. But we're taking people off the highway department to plow this thing. I don't know why we need to plow this, but I guess there's nothing I can do about it, so I'll just let it go. It just seems kind of ridiculous that we have to go in and plow the ice rink. We have to remember that this property, once it's fixed up, is a valuable property. It's going to probably sell or be worth somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 when it's all done with. Maybe more, I don't know. But so these people are getting a good deal, and as long as they've got the money and the staff to fix it up, I guess I'll go along with it. But those are my concerns, and I hope that it holds true everything that it says in this lease. That's all I got to say.
Supervisor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief because I'm quite aware of the way the vote went in the meeting of the 3 committees that were involved. I was part of that meeting. I am strongly opposed to this resolution for a number of reasons. I think that skating may very well be an activity that the county ought to be helping along, but we don't really know what the demand is. We do know that some organizations that wanted to run the arena, we're quite willing to do so, probably without getting the land ownership at the end. There are several unanswered questions. A casual reader of this resolution would not notice that at the end of 15 years, the organization that would take over would have ownership of the land. That land may be very, very valuable. I think it is. I am not aware of any appraisal that's been made. I don't know if anybody in this room has any idea what it's worth. And it doesn't strike me as a very good idea to be giving away land when you don't know what it's worth. We don't know what would happen to this land if the organization that gets it decides to go out of the skating business in 15 years. Would individual persons own it? I don't know. But there are a number of unanswered questions. I think this is a very bad resolution, and that is why I will oppose it.
Thank you. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Regarding the parking lot again, I know that at the joint meeting which I was part of, I was under the impression that that was going to get fixed up and repaved. To pulverize it and leave it like that for 15 years, I can't imagine what a mess that'll be. One of the reasons that parking lot went bad was the poor drainage. It's flat. That water's just going to sit in there. That is going to be an absolute mess. And then to try to plow that, I can't speak for Commissioner Winters. I think he's in the room here, but I can't believe I would be sending a truck over there in that mess. So that change, as far as I'm concerned, that's a game changer for me if that thing's not getting paved.
Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Something all the supervisors should know and understand. All the taxpayers of Winnebago County pays for stuff. The ice arena is just one little thing. Taxpayers should be paying for it. Parks, another little thing. Taxpayers are picking up the bill for it. Airport, another big thing. The taxpayers are picking up the tab for it. So if the taxpayers are going to pay for one, they should be paying for it all. And it's pretty soon that this county board should understand that. Not just take care of my own little area. We're here for total Winnebago County. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to applaud the county executive, the finance, the parks, and the facilities committees for the work in regards to this. This has been a long time coming. Ever since I've been on this board, I think we've been discussing the ice arena in one way or another, and I'm pretty sure the discussion predates when I was on the board to some degree as well. I think we could spend a lot of time going back and forth and talking about a little thing here or a little thing there in this contract, but to me it all boils down to three things when I look at this issue that we have debated over and over again over the last several years when we've considered the ice arena. And those three things to me are, one, that we wanted to make sure that we maintained an ice facility in that area. And this contract and this resolution allow for that. Number two, there was concern expressed about the cost and limiting the county's cost for infrastructure and replacement. And unquestionably, this resolution and this contract allow for that. And number three, there have been expressed concerns in regards of the management. And this resolution and this contract resolve that issue as well. Those have been the three reasons that we have gone back and forth between passing one resolution or another, or simply stalling and not going anywhere. But in my opinion, this resolution and this contract deal with all three of those issues. So I'd urge you to support this and move forward. I think it addresses the primary concerns we've been talking about as a group over so many years. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I don't want any supervisor to think that I'm not for this, because I supported it before and I probably will at the end. But I'd like to ask Vice Chairman Bill LaRoe, Chuck Ornstein, and Mike Elder, did you three know when you voted for this that this was going to be ground up to blacktop? at that time, or was the blacktop or the driveway going to be like it is now, only redone, no holes and all that? That's my question to you three. Or is there something that's happened since, or is it some other thing that's going to be hidden as we come along?
Chuck?
I did know.
You did know.
Yes.
Did all of you know?
I knew that it might be a possibility. And I think that's all it is now. And the county executive shaking his head, yes.
Okay.
It's a possibility. We don't know.
That's fine. That's all I want to know. If this isn't something that's happened since, that's all I want to know. I will be supporting this resolution. Thank you.
Supervisor Eisen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to work toward perfecting this resolution by pointing out on the lease on page 4, item 10, indemnification, paragraph 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down, where it says regardless of weather, to correct the spelling from W-E-A-T-H-E-R to W-H-E-T-H-E-R. Thank you.
Supervisor Linder?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was said before that this is a good deal. That's probably the understatement of the year. This, to me, is a win-win situation. We've worked on this back and forth. It seems actually longer than 7 years, but that's fine. And the comment was made that we could end up giving away the land cheaply. Well, Outagamie County sort of gave away the land, and I believe the cost was, let me think now, $1? That cheap to me, boy. About a week ago, Pope Francis invited the head of Israel and the head of the Palestinian and Arab states to come to the Vatican to sit down and talk peace. I make a proposal. Should this proceed well tonight, and I think it will, that we send Bill Rowe and Mark Harris and Dave Albrecht somewhere, invite these world leaders. If they can figure out a way to get us to agree to this ice arena deal, by golly, they can do anything.
Supervisor Barker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's something probably is in here somewhere in the resolution what we have here, and I'm missing it. But the one thing what bothers me is, was this land appraised? The land. I'm not talking about the building or anything else, the land. So in other words, if we vote for this tonight, and it all goes into effect, and next spring they decide they want to put up a Walmart or a whatever, can they do that?
No.
They cannot do that.
No.
It's got to be 15 years before they can do anything like that. Well, then we'll let somebody else worry about it in 15 years, because I think that's going to be a very valuable piece of land.
Supervisor Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in favor of this document. I mean, none of us have been endowed with the powers of God to create a perfect document. There is some imperfections in it, but those are minor. The way the document sits right now, I'm totally in favor of, and I will be voting in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take our little iPad here. Good.
After all this time, I can't let it go by without saying a few words. I would agree with Supervisor Smith that just spoke, and I'm looking just beyond him to the HR director, and he will attest to the fact that when you negotiate something, you try to get the best for everybody. We shouldn't be honing in on the parking lot, whether it's paved or pulverized or plowed or who's going to keep it clean. I objected to that paragraph. Right, Chuck? Yeah. I objected to that, but there were other mild demands that Appleton Ice wanted that they gave in on. All in all, this was the best deal we could come up with, and it's a great deal, and it's been said it's a win-win situation. I personally think it's a win-win-win situation. It's a win situation for Appleton Ice because if they do their job like they tell us they're going to, in 15 years they're going to own a nice facility. And I say a nice facility because we've heard what they plan to do with it. I think it's a win for Winnebago County that we don't have to spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to improve this facility. And thirdly, and most importantly, it's what we've all strived for the last umpteen years, is to maintain it as a recreational facility for the youth of this county. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take our little iPad. Vote aye if you approve. No if you disapprove. You pop up on your other seat, that's why I missed you. That is passed. Resolution 42-6/2014, authorize an expenditure of $210,000 on a capital project for reconstruction of County Highway CB and BB intersection in the town of Menasha. Supervisor Robel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for approval of Resolution 42-62014.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Supervisor Wilson.
Quick question for Chuck. How many, just dumb financial question, so this is going to be a bond, right? Annual debt service on the bonds issued would be roughly $24,000 per year over the 10-year life, right?
What we thought we'd do with a lot of these building projects was bring them in as if they're going to be a bond issue, funded by a bond issue. But we know we have enough undesignated general fund balance to apply to a lot of them. So what we wanted to do is wait until we knew what the amount was going to be, wait until we knew for sure how much undesignated fund balance there would be, and come back with a resolution later on to substitute fund balance instead of bonding.
So that's how you justify whether to issue a bond or not?
Yeah, depending on how much fund balance you have, whether you have sufficient, depending on the size of the project.
Or the amount of the, okay.
Yeah.
So there isn't any rule about how many bond issues you can do a year or anything?
No.
Or how much you would pay down on a debt, we're not going to exceed $1 million a year on debt or something like that?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll vote by our little iPad. Vote aye if you approve. No if you disapprove. Yeah, but he can't vote for him, can he?
I know. No, I don't want to vote. But he already did make to walk out. But he didn't confirm it. Thank you.
That is passed. Resolution 43-6/2014, adopt the public participation plan for the preparation, review, and adoption of a 10-year update of the county-wide comprehensive plan for Winnebago County. Supervisor Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the adoption of Resolution 43-62014. This is something that we have to do every year. It's required by or every 10 years it's required by the state. So.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Amend Section 24.8 of the Winnebago County Board Rules, Parkview Health Center. Supervisor Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of 44
62014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 45-6, 2014. Authorize the Emergency Management Department to accept a $6,000 grant to perform a mobile communication exercise. Supervisor Eisen.
Chairman, I move to approve resolution number 45-62014. Authorize the Emergency Management Department to accept the $6,000 grant to perform a mobile communications exercise, which I reported on at the last board meeting.
Then moved and seconded. Supervisor Hardy.
Could we get a brief explanation of what this exercise will entail?
Paul, you going to explain it?
Yeah, this was a multi...
The staff person is behind you.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we were offered a grant, and the state of Wisconsin pulled that grant and asked us to apply for a different fund. The wheels were already set in motion, and federal agencies were going to attend. So they approved the grant for us, and we needed to come here then. Unfortunately, the exercise already occurred, and we couldn't do that ahead of time. The grant was a communications drill where we had over 100 agencies, from law enforcement agencies to ham radio operators, hospitals, fire departments, FEMA, variety of different agencies that came, and they were able to talk using radio system. All the agencies have different types of radio systems, and it was a drill to see if we had a large incident here in Winnebago County, would they be able to communicate with resources that come from out of our area. The exercise was a success. The intent of the exercise is to jam up the communications lines a little bit and then try to solve the communication issues, and they were able to do that. This is an annual exercise. It's normally held on the west part of the state, and this is the first time it was brought to the northeast Wisconsin, and they asked Winnebago County to host it, and we were happy to do it.
Thank you.
Supervisor Skellinger.
I'm all right, thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 46-6, 2014. Authorize a capital project to repair and replace masonry at the Winnebago County Facilities Department Building number 2 and 3 at a cost of $110,000. Director Elder had given a presentation on this, I believe, last month. Supervisor Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of resolution number 46-62014.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Authorize a transfer of $14,000 from the airport undesignated fund balance to a project to replace a boiler in the Whitman Airport Terminal building. Supervisor Warnke.
Move for your approval of 47-62014.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 48-6, 2014. Request the sheriff to read Declaration of Independence on courthouse steps on July 4th, 2014. Supervisor Rowe. Oh no, Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of Resolution 48-6, 2014.
Second.
This will be the 5th year in a row that we've done this. What basically it is the Declaration of Independence was adopted for the most part on July 4th, 1776. Not having modern communications, one of the ways the Founding Fathers had of getting the word out to the people was to ask the sheriffs in the various then states to read the Declaration from the steps of the courthouse so that people could hear all the news about the beginning of a new nation. And Sheriff Motz will again read the declaration at 8 o'clock on July 4th. The ceremony itself doesn't take that long, no more than 15 minutes. You've got plenty of time to get your parade, your picnics, and all the rest of the activities of that great celebration. So I urge your support and attendance.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 49-6/2014, authorize a capital project to add additional parking to the sheriff and jail facility at a cost of $203,000. Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the adoption of Resolution 49-6/2014. I think I'm correct in stating, and the sheriff can correct me, this parking area was proposed in the original jail proposal. It was removed in an attempt to keep the costs down. So this isn't something that someone dreamed up. If you go there on certain days at certain times, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to find a parking spot without running the marathon first. So the project is needed, and the sheriff can answer any other questions you might have.
Supervisor Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the comments that were made both after the presentation and after the executive's comments here tonight, I'd like to make a motion to amend this resolution to decrease the amount on the project cost for planning and design to $25,000. I feel like that $68,000 is not only extraordinarily high, but is also very ambiguous when it comes to why we're shooting for such a high number here. That's still more than $1,000 per parking lot, which still seems fairly excessive to me.
Okay, the amendment was moved and seconded. Supervisor Olson on the amendment. Supervisor Rasmussen on the amendment.
Maybe. I had the same question also, and also on the construction. We talked about this at P&F. I support this project, of course, because they need it. But based on just some average numbers here, about 120 by 60, it's looking like that'll be, having been in that business, I just crunched some numbers and it came to about $60,000. I tried to get an answer from that. I guess this estimate was given a couple of years ago on that, so there's not really a good number there. But that $135,000 is way over. I would think that maybe we could amend the amendment here to change that number also, because that's way overboard.
Give a figure. Supervisor Rowe on the amendment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I guess we have two people much more qualified than I, and no offense, but most of you, to answer the question. So I would turn to Sheriff Motz and Mike Elder to ask their comments on the $68,000.
Those costs are for the design. I mean, that would be Mike's area.
This is based on some of the return costs that we've gotten for other parking lots that we've had to design. We've done the Otter Street parking lot for the building that we bought there. We've done Dawes Street parking lot. We've got some experience with what we've done. We do have to know that we do have to review all of the stormwater that was designed when we did the building in 2003, and we have to make sure, we have to confirm everything that we've got done. As was stated during the presentation, if I come in and I ask for the money and it is too low for what is all going to be done, then the project has to stop, and then we have to go through the whole approval process again for me to get the additional funds. You know, this is our best estimate of what we can to get the project done.
My next question was going to be, and you touched on it, it's $68,000. What if it doesn't cost $68,000?
If the whole project comes in less, then we pay for what the project costs. It stays in the capital project fund, and it will be used to offset whatever projects are in the future that won't be bonded for, or, let's say we come in $20,000 less. And I think, Chuck, you can confirm this. That $20,000 would stay in the fund balance, and if another project came forward that was $100,000 to bond for, since we have $20,000 in there yet, we would bond for $80,000.
And the other side of the coin, I think you've already answered. If we reduce it to $25,000 and it's not enough, project comes to a halt, and we come back.
And it's about 2 months for me to get it through the two committees and the county board again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Eisen.
My question was addressed by Vice Chairman Rowe.
Supervisor Skellinger.
I certainly support adding more parking spaces.
Are we still on the amendment?
I certainly support adding more parking spaces. I've been by and seen what kind of a mess it can be. But at this point, I'm not satisfied that there's a reason about the reason for the $68,000. When we look at other projects that we've had that involve looking at how we're moving water, how we're surfacing land, like they're not representing 34% of the project costs. So I will be voting in favor of the amendment.
Supervisor Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not only is it 34% of the total project cost, but as Mr. Rasmussen pointed out, it's 34% of perhaps an inflated cost figure. And in regards to would the project halt, perhaps, I don't know what the chances of that are. I don't think that would be micromanaging, but isn't that what we're here for? Isn't that what we're here for, to try to figure out if we're spending the taxpayers' dollars in a wise manner? I think that we need to ask that question more prudently going forward, and this is a prime example of that. We just spent a lot of money out of fund balance to pay off some other notes, and that's a good thing, but this is where that money potentially comes from. So if we don't want to continue to escalate that fund balance with potentially escalated figures, I would hope that you would support this amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Rasmussen.
Again, on this situation, if the $68,000 is for engineering and such, I guess I'm wondering why we don't have an engineering firm that has already taken a look at this and do a preliminary and give us those numbers, what it's going to cost, a cost opinion. That's what they do. Mike, maybe you could answer, has that been done at all?
The way we do funding for the capital projects is all the engineering work is rolled into the capital project. So we have no money to do the capital or the engineering to do this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the money for the engineering so that we can go ahead and go out for bids for this. And this is based on some of the rule of thumbs that I've gotten from some of the engineering firms that I have been dealing with. Is it's about $7,500 a parking space for a parking lot.
Okay, it just seems like a backwards procedure, but not trying to question what you're doing there, Mike, at all, but I'm sure this is going to come in less, and for us to just bond for this money and then have it sitting there, I don't think that's a real good way to do it. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Keel.
Just a question, did any of these matters come up in the committee meetings? I noticed we've got a 5-0 subcommittee vote. I guess I would somewhat trust the subcommittee. However, did these valid considerations come up? Did anybody speak to it?
Somebody from the committee want to punch in? Supervisor Rasmussen.
I guess this makes my third time, but since the question was that, yes, we did have this conversation and we talked about these same things. I think I could speak for all in our committee that we approved it because we know the project needs to be done. We just had these concerns about the procedure.
Supervisor Rowe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will concur with Supervisor Rasmussen. In fact, I'm on both committees, so I voted for it twice. And so I will be voting against the amendment. I'll be voting for the resolution as it was passed. As I stated earlier, I sincerely feel that we have two very qualified people sitting in the back of the room that have spoke to this issue, Mike Elder and Sheriff Motz. I trust their judgment. If we don't like what they're doing, we can do something about that. However, we have this resolution in front of us. We've questioned the cost. We've been given the proper answers as far as we're concerned, and therefore I will be voting against the amendment.
Okay, we'll vote on our little iPad. Pardon? We're voting on, I'll let the clerk read the amendment back. I pushed the phone.
I did talk to John. Because you're talking about making an amendment to amount that's in the budget transfer form, or the form attached to the resolution. So that amount's not specifically mentioned in the resolution. So do you want us to just reduce the $203,000 by 25 to make it $178,000? Because the wording in the resolution doesn't break out those two things in the resolution itself. So that's what I just wanted to clarify, how you wanted the actual resolution to be amended, or just that amount amended.
I'd like it reduced, the total cost reduced by the difference between 68 and 25. Is that
The difference between 68 and 25? So
43?
160.
160. Okay, thank you. So we'll be reducing the amount on line 1, or line 3 rather, to $160,000.
Okay, we'll vote on the amendment on our iPad. Vote aye if you approve, no if you disapprove. That has failed. Back to the original amendment. Back to the original resolution. Supervisor Stelman.
I move to postpone the resolution until the July 22nd meeting in order to get more clarification about the actual cost of the project.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to postpone. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
The noes have it. Okay, back to the original resolution. Supervisor Olson.
Thank you. I wasn't on the board when this whole project was built. I think somebody said 2003. So that would make the facility approximately 11 years old. Thank you. But it was mentioned that the bigger lot was in the original plans, but it was cut out because of costs. Well, this is an example, I think, of the fighting off your nose in spite of yourself, because you have to, when we're dealing with things, you have to deal in the long term. And now, because way back 11 years ago, we didn't want to expand the parking lot when we probably knew it needed to be there, which is why, as an original plan in the first place, we're faced with this. My comment is not necessarily whether I'm going to vote for or against it. My comment is I think we need to adhere a little bit closer in terms of the long-range things of what we do. A lot of times, I feel that the board as a whole wants to take shortcuts on projects to save money here, when in fact, it's going to cost us down the road if we do that. So I think we have to look at the total cost of projects, and if it means putting up a little extra parking space in anticipation of growth 11 years, I think it should have been done at that time. Thank you.
Supervisor Stelman.
I'm going to support this resolution reluctantly. I think that it is a project that is definitely needed, and I do hope that in the future that we're going to come in with bids that are more in line with what we're seeing on other projects. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll vote by our vote by it to approve. No, if you don't. You got to push confirm. That is passed. Resolution number 50-6/2014. Authorize a capital project to repair and replace joint seals at Winnebago County Jail Facility at a cost of $198,000. Supervisor Roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the adoption of resolution number 50-62014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 51-6/2014. Authorize the Sheriff's Department to accept a Justice Assistant Grant for the purchase of a K-9 unit at the cost of $10,000. Supervisor Wingman.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of Resolution 51-6/2014.
Then moved and seconded.
No, you want to take 15 seconds.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 52-6/2014. Authorize a capital project to replace roof surfaces to Winnebago County Facility Building 2 and 3 and Parkview Boiler Building at a cost of $247,000. Supervisor Rule.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the adoption of resolution number 52-62014.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Ordinance number 53-6/2014. Create section 9.39 of the General Code of Winnebago County. Prevent unlawful use of computerized communication systems. Supervisor Wingren.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of Ordinance 53-6/2014.
Then moved and seconded. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question, I think, would be for the district attorney, if he would be willing to answer it, or the sheriff, perhaps. I went online and I looked this state law up, Section 947.0125, and basically, if someone is using a electronic system, specifically a computer, currently, it would be disorderly conduct. That's my understanding of how I'm reading this. What's being suggested is that it would be a misdemeanor, I believe a class 2, is it, or 3, and it would have like a $10,000 fine and 6 months in jail or something like that. It seems to me, I just wonder, why are we approaching this so punitively? I mean, it's like we're going from a charge of disorderly conduct and all the cost that's involved in that, to hard jail time, very high costs, etc. So I'm really not sure I can support this. I don't know that it's good to start getting that punitive on this type of an offense. Perhaps the district attorney could address that.
We actually had wanted to adopt this as an ordinance so it's not a misdemeanor. So we can issue a citation. Cost of the citation is $295 for the entire cost. The actual fine is $125. But when you add the other costs in, it's a $295 forfeiture, which is what the disorderly conduct is as well. But this gives us the ability, if somebody is bullying over the internet, if someone is threatening somebody through social media, we don't have to take them to jail. We can issue a citation by adopting this ordinance.
So you're saying that you wouldn't necessarily apply the maximum here with your citation process. It's just giving you another tool and more flexibility.
Yes, it does.
But it's not your intention to really, unless you really had a bad issue, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, our intention is to use this as another way to deal with these types of issues where we can issue a citation versus taking somebody to jail.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Supervisor Eisen.
Yeah, if you take the time to look at the state statute, you'll find that state statute's been on the books for 18 years in the manner in which it's written. And that's what's being incorporated into our ordinance. It also, the state penalty is $1,000, and typically, and we've experienced this before, when you have a violation of the state statute, you usually get referrals to the district attorney, and you've got court costs, heavy costs involved with that, and also potential jail time. So what the sheriff's office has done is streamlined that and made it workable so that our officers in the field can deal with this in a orderly fashion, the way that the social media and electronic media has proliferated. Thank you.
Supervisor Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question for Sheriff Motz. Unfortunately, in today's society, a majority of this is actually being done by juveniles. Would the citation be issued to the juvenile, or would it be issued to the parent or the guardian?
If the juvenile is 17 years or older, they would receive the citation to them personally. The age of 12 to 16 years old, they still receive the citation, but it's reduced to $55, not the $295, because in most cases the parents would have to pay that, as the kids would not have the means. If they're less than 11 years old or 11 years old or younger, then we refer it to juvenile intake, and they deal with it through a different system. But it is issued directly to the child. The parents, we notify the parents. It's in our policy that anytime we deal with a juvenile and issue a citation, we notify the parents of what has occurred.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Amend the table of organization for Winnebago County District Attorney's Office, Resolution 54-62014. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 54-6-2014.
And moved and seconded. Supervisor Farr.
Not to belabor this obvious resolution, but could the district attorney, seeing how he spent all the time to come here, kind of give us a brief summary of this?
Certainly. What we've done is we have a position that's been a legal clerk position for several years now, and we've been working on taking all of our case files and scanning them going back in time We have 2 external storage facilities. We've moved out of one of them now. The person who is in that position retired at the end of last year, and we did not realize that was going to come about. We hadn't quite finished the project, so what we're looking to do is take that one position, split it into 2 half-time positions, with one of them being a legal assistant, a legal secretary for our diversion programs, and the other half of that position continuing to do that scanning. We're pretty well underway in the scanning, and every year we're able to destroy another set of files. So that window will continue to close, but this will also enable us to continue working on all of our alternative and diversion programs. I think at last count we were between 13 or 1,400 cases that are diverted annually through this county. So we're just looking to get some assistance to that program coordinator.
Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Supervisor Wilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move that we adjourn until Tuesday, July 22nd at 6 p.m.
Second, we are adjourned.